Welcome back, and finally our punchline. Now this week I've been reflecting on times and seasons, and it seems to happen around this time every year. We have all laughed about how 2020 got cancelled, the year that never happened, and yet it actually did. And while it sounds good to imagine that we can get a do-over in 2021, no, we can't. This was it. 2020, a year whose time is running out. And for one man, time is already moving far too fast. President Uhuru Kenyatta's term is drawing to a close, and in a most turbulent way. Since his re-election, elements within his administration began talking about 2022 and who and what was to be. A completely unfortunate move that has kicked off an unprecedented change of events in what we now fear will end up being a dreadful Kenyatta succession contest. Now, make no mistake, I am not now, nor will I ever argue that President Kenyatta needs more time. No. But I do sympathize in some ways, reflecting on the fact that he has been running out of time since the desire to succeed him got the better of some elements in his government. And it has affected everything from the focus of the nation to the cohesion of his administration, which is why we understand why the president would need to send his cabinet away for a few days. And it is true that cabinet secretaries are due for a break, but it is also true that President Kenyatta must critically think of the little time that he has left and who's working and who isn't. A situation that has made the commander-in-chief a much more hands-up type of leader. Now, we've seen the president take the lead on his key projects, inspecting them at night, away from the public's glare, and someone has been doing a good job of ensuring we all know about it in the morning. But be that as it may, we do applaud him, and we ask him to keep going. But yet, there is caution to be taken. Now, this week, I explained to my eldest how on Thursdays at 8 p.m., I'm pretty much just as out of time to prepare for this program as I would be on Sunday at 8 p.m., an hour before this broadcast. It does get to a time where from that point on, little more can be done. And we fear that it is for President Kenyatta at least Wednesday. And Sunday is right around the corner where only tweaks and not fireworks can be expected going forward. So while the media have time and again falsely prophesied that a cabinet reshuffle is coming, we say let it come, but it is not likely to matter too much now. For any real impact to be made, the president will have to double down and strike a few hundred great projects off the list and focus on one or two things that he can be remembered for, things that strike a chord with the people. And on this one, we're asking the president to really not listen to anyone other than his God and his conscience, and ask what is that one thing, the one act of service that he wants to offer Kenyans. What one move could be greater than 100? What pain can he relieve for millions at this time of suffering? After all, for the much praise that is heaped on President Kibaki, only one project is really synonymous with him, and that is the Thika Superhighway. Now, this is obviously not the only thing that he did, but it is undoubtedly the hallmark of his legacy. And so we urge President Kenyatta to consider doing the same, zeroing in on that one thing that Kenyans will remember him forever for, and to do that one thing well. And now we fear that this late in his term, the only thing that he could do that would resonate powerfully and cement his legacy forever, not just in Kenyan, but world history as well, is not BBI, but rather to finally distance himself once and for all from all those who have perpetuated corruption in his government, and that it could come uncomfortably close to home. The questions that have been raised regarding COVID-19 funds and indeed perpetually around Ministry of Health procurement is beginning to stink to high heaven. And it is costing the president big time, a president who, by the way, cannot afford any more bad press, least of all now. And not necessarily because of himself, but because very much of the actions of others. We know that the commander-in-chief can crack a big whip that could leave all of us quaking. And we fear that it might be necessary. But a final thought on time before I let that get away from me. The good thing about time running out is that it signals an end to things. And no doubt, as the sun sets on this year and later on Kenyatta's administration, there are many things worth remembering and worth forgetting almost in equal measure. Now, this is not just a chapter, but an entire book that is to be closed. So let us write meaningful endings. Many can attest to feeling under pressure or bogged down by this year in particular that has crushed many dreams. But consider all the blessings that we have learned out of this global crisis, which is hopefully coming to an end as scientists begin to make breakthroughs. Whilst we have been tested to the limit, we are still here. While an unseen enemy tried to crush us, we have adapted and found new ways to keep going and to press forward. And I, for one, believe we are much stronger now than we have ever been because of everything that we have survived. So as we look to the close of a year, and in the meantime, as the sun begins to set on the Kenyatta administration, here is to endings. May we revel in them because they certainly herald new beginnings. Thanks for watching Punchline tonight. I am Ann Kiguta. Enjoy the rest of your viewing here on K24 and let's take the conversation online. Use the hashtag Punchline. We're back next week. Bye-bye.